Hello everyone and welcome to this little video about Pokémon Moon running on Citra. Now, I've been wanting to play this game for a really long time but wasn't really sure if it would work on my PC, so I decided to try it for myself and record a video for people with similar specs. Talking about my PC, let's talk about the specs. It's got a Ryzen 5 1600 overclocked to 3.7 GHz, 8GB of single-channel DDR4 RAM running at 24 MHz, and a GTX 550 Ti. Now I know the 550 Ti is a pretty old card, but Citra is more CPU bound. Citra is still actively being developed, which means that it isn't a perfect emulator by any means. There have been various custom builds that many users have created so that they can run Pokemon on this emulator, which has helped make the game somewhat playable. But even though I have my Ryzen overclocked to 3.7 GHz, it doesn't help a lot, since just like in the case of most emulators, higher IPC and single core performance is what matters the most. Maybe in the future with more optimization, Citra will better utilize the other cores on a CPU. So, how does the game run? Well, I'm using the bleeding edge build of Citra and I'm running Pokémon Moon. Frame rate varies a lot, depending on the areas that I am in. Indoors and in battles, the frame rate tends to stay above 25 frames per second, and in a lot of cases even touches 30 frames per second and stays stable at that. But once I go outdoors and in open areas such as the towns and the various routes that are in the game, frame rate drops down to 15 frames per second. But that's the lowest I saw it go, with an average being of around 21 to 19 frames per second in these open areas. Now the game itself is running at 3 times its native resolution, which only impacted the frame rate by 3 or 4 frames. So is the game really playable? Well, that depends. If you're comfortable with slight stutter and variation in the frame rate, then you should have no problem. But if a variable frame rate below a locked 30 frames per second is not acceptable, then you should probably stay away from it. At least until Citra has been more developed. And if you do plan on playing the game, I highly recommend that you turn off the in-game audio, because the audio stutters are really jarring and will leave you with a headache. My suggestion is that you listen to a podcast or start a playlist of your choice while you play the game to compensate for the lack of in-game audio. Well, that'll be it for this video. I'll leave you to watch the rest of the gameplay footage to see the performance. Let me know if you'd like to see similar tests of this sort for any other game, and for similar content, why don't you subscribe to the channel? Thank you so much for watching this video. I've been your host Darren, and until next time, have a good one.